Hey, how's it going? Hard Talk Radio, your host, MrDeadman, and with us tonight is, let's see if I don't butcher this name, Francois Vaillancourt.
There you go.
Hey, look. Oh, how did that happen? I butcher everybody's name. No announcements here. Just support Deadman's Tome. Become a patron if you want to. It only takes $1. I know a lot of people are hard, out of work, whatever. But if you do that, you get access to the paperbacks and of course the published material for no additional cost. So there's that. And with that, of course, that's patreon.com/deadmanstone. Okay. So with that said, let's go ahead and get this started. Francois, I start off with one question with all my guests, and that is, who is your daddy and what does he do?
Oh God. Well, my dad right now is enjoying his post-career retirement.
Oh wait, hold on. I think, sorry, it's who are you and what do you do? It's like
I got that. So I'm an illustrator, based in Montreal. Studied fine arts, graduated, and I also work in advertising.
Okay.
Because bills need to be paid. But
that's right.
But my passion is illustration. I've been doing it for quite a while now, and it's going pretty well, I guess.
Well, that's good. That's good. I mean, how did you get involved with the illustrations? How do you get involved in that?
I've always painted, and kept drawing all the time, which was kind of problematic sometimes at school. But hey, that's life. So I had a career as a classical trained painter.
Okay.
Before slowly switching to digital, which gives me way more freedom when I work for book covers and illustrations in general. And my first steps into the world of or illustration happened about 5 years ago via Richard Chismar, who's an author, but is also the owner and publisher at Cemetery Dance.
Mm-hmm.
I had done some, I guess you'd call it fan art, based on Gwendy's Button Box, a book he co-wrote with Stephen King.
Okay.
And just for fun and very, very humbly, I showed it to him via a Facebook group, and he kind of liked it. He liked it enough, and I kept showing him stuff that I did. And one day he said, "You know what? Would you like to do a movie poster for a short film I'm doing?" I said, "Okay, sure." I did that, and it turned into another project. It went very well. The work I did was quite well received. And Richard Chismar was nice enough to introduce me to other people in the business.
Oh, cool.
And I mean, it kind of grew organically from there. The more projects I had, the more secure I was in the way I was working, contacted different publishers, and I think that what helped me also is that I knew a lot of authors,
Mm-hmm.
but not personally, of course, but not that many publishers. And sometimes you're trying to talk to somebody who's a big name, a big shot, and you're kind of shy, and you don't know exactly how to do. But not having that knowledge about them means that I didn't have that shyness. I could come in very naturally and show my stuff and without knowing if they were big or not. And
Right.
lo and behold, some of those people were very well placed, and it kept going like that. and I had some landmark projects during that time.
Hmm.
I got to do, I think it was 13 or 15 illustration for Stephen King's revival via Levidian Press. And that was a big game changer for me, working closely with a new publisher, Brian Freeman. Well, new with Levidian because that's his own thing, but Brian has been working with Cemetery Dance for years,
Okay.
uh, and having such a household name as Stephen King, um, in my portfolio of work, that also gave me access to another level of publishers and
Oh
authors.
yeah, I imagine so. I mean, I'm definitely going to ask how it felt to first work with Stephen King because that just elevates your status there. It is what it is, right? I mean, work with a known author like that, it's like, okay, now you're in the big leagues. Not saying that you weren't in the big leagues before, but just so that people understand your art, like you do cover art, you do movie posters, and it's and of course while you're talking, I have some of your artwork shown on the screen. I mean, just preview, just as you're
Yeah, I can't
talking.
I can't see that on my end. So
And I know,
I'll
I
go.
know, I know you can't, but it looks really good. It looks really good. Just real fast, who are some of the authors that you worked with? Where can people find your work on certain books, certain posters? And we'll get in more detail as far as what it was like to first work with Stephen King.
Um, a lot of my work can be seen on books published by Cemetery Dance, Lividian publication. I think I have three books that are to be announced by Lividian in the next year or so.
Hmm.
I've done quite a few also for a Subterranean Press.
Okay.
Um, uh, Thunderstorm Books.
Okay.
I'm so bad with
Hey, it's
names.
okay. It's all right. It's all right. I'm looking at some of the stuff, and you've even done movie posters. There's one that caught my eye, of course, immediately. I think people saw it as well. Was the Pet Cemetery? That my memory failed me. I was like, was that one of the covers for one of the book editions? No, no, that was the poster for the Onset Cinema, right? The
That's
ons.
it.
Yeah. Okay.
That's it. It's
Yeah.
a company that do show movies on the actual place where they were filmed, and they did a showing of the original Pet Cemetery. Sorry, and I got to do the poster for that event, which was pretty cool. I was supposed to go, but lo and behold, COVID-19. So hey, I
Mm.
didn't.
That sucks. Okay. So, and before you worked with Stephen King, did you work with also Brian King as well?
Yes, I worked twice for Brian King.
Okay.
I did one illustration for a short story that is part of the Shining in the Dark anthology, and I did the cover for Whitefire, the limited
Whitefire.
edition. Yeah,
Yes. That's a cool
yeah.
looking cover. I like that cover. See,
Thank-
and for those listening that choose the self-publishing route, I tell people choose the route that fits you. Okay, the one you really want to go with. Don't limit yourself though, but understand the value of a good cover. And like for those listening that have their own work that they're working on, what do you have to say to them about their covers? Like how important it is.
Well, the old saying, "Don't judge a book by its cover." Uh, no, it doesn't work that way.
Yeah,
You,
exactly.
you need something attention grabbing. You need something that looks professional.
Mm,
Um, I know a lot of people do their own covers in the self-published world, which is fine. Because I mean, there's a lot of things that can be involved, money, time, and things like that.
right.
Um, but if you come in with a not that great looking cover or something that looks amateurish, I mean, somebody who doesn't know the author
Mm,
and is just browsing. on Amazon or something like that, it won't have any impact. And if it
Right.
doesn't look professional, the gut reaction of the viewer is, well, that reflects the rest of the book.
Okay.
Sadly,
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Now I got to ask, what is easier to work with, an individual author or a publisher?
it's they're both different ways of working, but there isn't one that is more difficult than the other.
Okay.
Um, Working with publisher means there's a barrier between me and the author. Sometimes it doesn't help because I would like to ask questions and bounce IDs and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's an extra step. Um, and sometime it helps because some authors might have a particular vision for the cover,
Right.
and that's a funny thing, you're an author, you write a book, and you have a certain moment in the book that is dear to you, and that really encompass everything that is you're trying to put in that book. It's kind of a haha moment.
Mm.
A lot of time those aha moments don't translate well visually.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm thinking some books I've read before that have kind of like, they seem kind of like a lazy cover. And we're talking mainstream books. It's like, that's the cover. Okay. The one that's coming to mind are like some Anne Rice titles. Like, I'm like, that's what you're going with? Okay, I guess. It seems kind of lazy, but whatever.
Okay, so that's another thing. I think that, as an illustrator, as much as possible, I read the book before sketching anything. A lot of illustrators will work from a synopsis or a brief chat with the publisher or the author, and sometimes timing is an issue. It takes time to read a book.
Right.
But me personally, I'd rather take a bit more time beforehand, read the story, and absorb as much material as I can. If I say draw a haunted house, okay, but what kind of house is it?
Yep.
Is it a gothic mansion? Is it
Mm-hmm.
a cabin in the wood?
A trailer in a
Is it
trailer park? What is it? What is this?
they're all haunted house.
Mm-hmm.
So, but if I read the book and it's a three-story Victorian mansion
Yeah.
with a turret on the side and a broken iron rock fence around it,
Mm.
well, that's exactly what I'm gonna work on illustration wise. So what I do isn't generic. What I do is really custom tailored to the story.
Custom tailored to the story. Okay. And with that, I mean, do you ever get some difficult projects where the author or the publisher is like really picky? It's like, no, it like not like that. I kind of see it more this way. Like, do you get that sort of back and forth sometimes?
It happens. It happens. But I mean, that's okay. My work is to make the book, the story, as exciting for a possible reader as possible. And it's funny because the years of advertising do help with that. It's basically the same thing. I have to take a very complex briefing, in this case, book, and boil it down to a very, very simple expression or manifestation of the story.
Right.
So, but I didn't write the book, so there might be an intention, a subtext message that I don't get, and that is very dear to the author. And we sometimes it never got complicated, but there has been adjustments, and I mean that's normal.
I imagine being an artist and reading the book, there might be times where you have a vision of what would look really good on the cover. Maybe it's different from what the author or publisher suggested. You ever navigate through that?
Yeah. So when I do a cover, I submit sketches beforehand.
Right.
I'm not gonna just come up with and show the final product and say, well, that's the image, take it or leave it. I will do sketches. If the author adds some specific ideas, I will integrate some of them in the sketches or do something that is exactly what the author wanted and what I think would make a good cover, and submit 2, 3, 4 sketches.
Okay.
Until we agree on something that is satisfying for the author,
of course,
and fun for me as the artist to create.
Now, have there been covers or projects you worked on that really challenged you? Like, let's say, not challenged you in difficulty, but challenged you on like a moral level. Like, ever had that sort of issue?
No. There are some things that I wouldn't be willing to do, I guess.
I mean, we are talking about horror. Horror has all sorts of stuff like body horror, like grotesque blood and gore. Like, are you good with that?
Yeah, I don't like doing it. I'm more of an atmosphere kind of guy.
Okay.
Than a blood and gore type. Okay. But I can go that way. I mean, again, I'm here to make the story look good. There's also something to consider. If you self-publish through Amazon, there are things that you cannot have on a cover.
Oh, what can you? Oh, okay. Wait. What can you not have on the cover?
I'm the big bad serial killer, and on the cover, I look straight at you with a gun like that. Okay, Amazon will accept it, but will never promote it because that's against the thing. If I'm on the cover, I'm hurting a child or I'm hurting a woman. What are you gonna show?
These posters are of 2 covers for two of my books, and that's probably why Amazon never promotes them. One is a cover of a Catholic schoolgirl that just like disemboweled and mutilated nuns with an axe. The other one is a baby about to be sacrificed on an altar for Satan. Yeah, that's probably why they're not being promoted.
Amazon will accept them, but they won't be promoted. They won't pop up in the if you bought this, you might like that. No, they won't.
Yeah.
So that's something to keep in mind. When I work on a cover, and the author or publisher wants something a bit more extreme, I'll do it, but I'll warn them beforehand.
That's good. Warn them that, hey, you're not gonna make as much money on this project. You realize that,
I'm gonna do it, but did you know? Some people just don't know about those rules at Amazon, so it's only fair that they're aware of what the consequences could be.
Well, good on you, man. That's good. That's good. And really, you don't have to go over the top blood and gore. I mean, that's the scene kind of like for like bizarro splatterpunk horror and stuff like that. That's kind of what they want. They want to look sort of like really edgy. I mean, that's kind of what this stuff is. Come on now. I'll admit that. That's what it is. But does it sell well? No, not really.
Well, is that it really limits your target group if you go with that. If you tell me it's a story about a little Catholic girl that goes berserk, I might not be into blood and gore, but hey, it sounds intriguing. Okay, I'll give it a shot. But if you show me that image, very graphic, very specific, if I'm not into that kind of story, I'm not gonna buy it.
Right.
So you're narrowing down your potential buyers by being too specific to a type of imagery.
You know what? You're on point there. I can't even disagree with that. That's right. If I turned back and could change these covers, would I though? I'd probably keep them the same. They are what they are. But I do like that we're talking about like where your limitations are, because every artist has them, whether it be like from a moral place or ethics or whatever, or just in this case sounds like business sense. Like, okay, I'll draw it, but it's not gonna do too well. Okay, you know.
No, then it's up to me afterward to put it on my website and use it as a portfolio piece or not. Um,
That's right. Now, let's bring this back to you first working with Stephen King. So you worked with Brian King, and you worked with Chismar, but then you started working with Stephen King, and that elevated your status. I mean, how was that like when you first got that?
I was scary. I was scared. I did, before I did Revival, I did 2 illustrations that were King related. I did an illustration for one of his short story, The Blue Air Compressor.
Okay.
That was published in the same book that Brian Keene was published, Shining in the Dark, which was great because I've been a King fan for years. I mean, I read The Shining when I was 15.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
And it got me hooked. Right
yeah, I don't know anyone who doesn't like The Shining. I mean,
so to me, as a fan, first getting to work for King was amazing. So I did that, The Blue Air Compressor, and about a year later, Chismar emailed me one night and told me that Stephen King and Bev Vincent were editing an anthology called Flight or Fright, and they would like me to do the cover. So that was my first official book, not just an illustration, but book cover for a King-related project. But it wasn't a King story, although he has a short story in the anthology. And
so you were nervous then, though. Like when you got that deal, you were extremely nervous. It's like, oh man, I can't mess up.
Yeah, very, very much so. And I mean, I think most artists do suffer in the small or in the great part from imposter syndrome. And you're just, you're thinking, I'm a fan, I do some things, and then they want me to do what? I'll do it, but I mean, I'm not one of those big names illustrator. And
okay.
But then again, somebody seems to think that my work is good enough for that.
Right. I mean, it's a huge boost in confidence, though, right? I mean, like all this time you're working, you're hard at work with your illustrations, and then all of a sudden, boom, you get this big name. He comes in. It's like, I want to work. I like what you do. I want you to illustrate something for me, for my cover. Man,
it's scary. It's also a very humbling experience.
You would say it's a flight or fright experience. I know, right?
Yeah,
I know.
And then I got later to do Revival. Revival was a big project.
Man, that Revival looks So was that the cover for Revival? What is that?
That I did the cover and 13 or 15 illustrations inside.
Yeah, this is like the one I have on the screen now is the one with the church canopy thing. You see the sky is like ominous looking.
It's cool because this illustration was printed on a trifold inside the book. You could really pull it out. It made for, I think, a 9 by 18 piece.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so that was a big project. I mean, when Brian Freeman asked me to do it, I know that he had contacted a few other illustrators, and he showed the work to King's agent, and basically King said, "Yeah,
cool,
use the guy."
It just
So
works
that's
like that. Okay.
yeah.
Now, I have a question in the chat for you here. Let's see. Mom's Ravioli says, every artist has favorite pieces, settings, environments they like to emulate, implement in their art, regardless of the story. What's your well of inspiration?
Oh God. There is not one well or one single elements where I get my inspiration from. I think that depending on the stories I have to work with, it's a combination of the story. It's a and what it evokes to me, picture wise. Um, when I have big projects, I usually even do a playlist. So I have my music theme to the project, and it really influences what I do.
Okay.
When I did Revival, I played "Hurt" by Nine Inch Nails over and over again because it's a song about addiction, about losing, about despair, and that it fits the book so well. So it's everything around me or in my experiences that will help me recreate the emotion that is needed for the cover. Some covers are sad, some are scary,
Right.
some are a bit harder, more in your face. So there is no specific inspiration point. It what serves the image.
Gotcha. And I totally get the inspiration of, or at least using music to kind of help with the muse or help with the flow. Writers use it too. A lot of creative minds use that. I
had a discussion with another Montrealer, Denis Villeneuve, the director who did Blade Runner 2049, who did Sicario, who did Dune, that is to come out in a few time. And I met Denis Villeneuve a couple of times, and I asked him at one point, when you work on the scenario and how you're going to approach the scenes, do you listen to music? And he says, I never do, because music influences too much what I'm working on when it happens. And it can completely change the mood that I wanted to have in a particular sequence if I'm not listening to the exact music that I should have at that point. So
yeah,
music is really a way to
yeah, I can see that. That happens even with writers. Like they'll be writing, and certain music comes on though. It kind of changed the pacing. It changes the atmosphere of the scene, if that makes sense. Especially dialogue. Yeah. Like I can't really write with dialogue coming in at the same time because the lyrics of the song might just get into there, which is not so good.
The lyric, the rhythm, the energy, everything will affect whatever you're doing. Whether you're writing, painting, drawing. It's normal reaction, I guess.
Yeah. But to each their own on that. If it works for you and it's doing well, for you it is. I definitely wouldn't. I definitely wouldn't stop it. I definitely would. Definitely continue to recommend that. Okay. Now you mentioned "Hurt" from Nine Inch Nails. Are there other songs that you listen to that inspire you to kind of help get the muse out there?
Again, it's whatever serves the story. I finished a project for Joe Hill that hasn't been announced yet, but again, I had a very specific playlist for that and songs that to me evoked certain parts of the book. Not so much because of the lyrics, but because of the emotion, the sound conveyed. But I mostly do that when I have long projects involve like 10, 15 illustrations to do. When it's just one cover, I won't spend as much time obviously working on that, so the emotional involvement I don't know if that's clear, but is so short-lived that it
Mm.
doesn't need to be sustained by music
Okay,
throughout the
makes
project.
sense. Now, are have you been inspired by other artists though, like maybe classical artists?
Yes. I'm a big fan of Egon Schiele, German expressionist artist. I absolutely love the graphic sensibility of Alphonse Mucha, um, a Art Nouveau artist from Europe. I am a big fan of, if we're looking at contemporary artists,
Hmm.
guys like Dave McKean, Bill Sienkiewicz. Um, wow, so many of them. I couldn't name it. And for me, those guys are giants. Um, and I mean, I have tons and tons of book about and by those guys. Um, and whenever I feel that my ego is getting out of hands, I take one of those books and I
And you
start
humble
crying.
yourself with that.
Yes.
Okay. Well, you seem to have a very, a passion and a love for what you do. You definitely admire the classic artists, and you build upon that. Okay, that's good. It shows respect right there. Now,
Well,
go ahead.
no, please continue.
I'm surprised I haven't even asked this yet. Like, why are you drawn to horror, though? I mean, you could be doing artwork for romance novels or romance stuff, probably making more money. You could be doing erotica stuff, making more money, probably, but you're doing horror.
Well, I do what I like. I could do all those other styles, but I wouldn't have fun doing them. And as I mentioned earlier, since I read the story before doing the work, why would I read something that I don't like? Why would I force myself to do that? And the end result would be half-assed. I mean,
Yeah. That makes
it's like
sense.
you have a teenage son and you ask him to mow the lawn. The lawn will be mown, but it's gonna be quite uneven and crappy. But
Yeah.
it's done.
Yeah.
So that would
Yeah, it reminds me of my early days. My first time mowing the yard, my dad kicked my ass afterwards. I was like, "What's wrong?" He's like, "Did you see what you did?" It's like it was all over the place, totally uneven. I didn't even bother weed eating. I was like, skipping corners over the place.
Well, if you were to ask me to do a romance or erotica story, that's what you would get.
Yeah. I mean, have you ever? Okay, you seem like a very professional man. I'll ask this in a very blunt manner. Have you ever done lewd artwork? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. No.
Okay.
No.
Would
I
you
haven't
ever?
been
Like,
asked-
do you have a price?
Everybody has a price.
Everybody has a price.
Yeah. I mean, I would
Francois,
do.
yes, everybody has a price.
I would do lewd art, because that is not something that would shock me or disturb me on on a moral side. But yeah, no,
Okay. What about? Do you know what a furry is?
no.
That's okay. Don't worry about that. We'll skip that question. We'll skip that question. Don't worry. Okay, so you mentioned you started classical. You started oil, right? Oil on canvas, and then you
Acrylics. I
Acrylics,
don't have the
okay.
patience for
Acrylics.
oils.
Okay.
Oils take forever.
Okay, so you don't have any Bob Ross paintings.
No happy little clouds and happy little accidents.
Yeah.
But
So
mind you,
acrylics.
I would love to be able to work as fast as he does.
Well, he prepares, but he looks so at peace at what he does. Very genuine.
And
Okay.
I don't have the hair to do a Bob Ross thing anyway, so
You always get a wig. Okay. All right, so okay, acrylics, but he went from acrylics to digital. Like,
Yeah,
does it?
for multiple reasons. Um, Timelines are getting shorter all the time.
Right.
Um, so that's one thing. Second, when you work with traditional mediums, whether it's oil, acrylics, pastels, charcoal, you name it, it's very hard to do revisions and corrections on a piece.
Okay.
Uh,
Yeah.
so if at one point the author comes up with a brilliant suggestion, I didn't think about that, but it makes everything so much better. Damn, I have to redo the whole piece.
That's
So that's
okay.
problematic. Um, the time factor is not only just the time to paint the piece, but then you need to either have it professionally photographed
Mm-hmm.
or scanned. I mean, when you when you look at guys that still do work with traditional mediums like Drew or some of those other famous guy, they work big, 24 by 36,
Yeah.
big ass painting. You're not gonna scan that at home with your little printer scanner combo by Canon.
No.
So you need to go to a professional um, scanning place where they will peel the paper or put the canvas on a drum, have it scanned. So that takes time. That takes money also. Uh, and then you have to color correct the whole thing, making sure that it's exactly on screen what it was
Mm-hmm.
on or canvas, and then have it shipped. So that takes that much more time. Um, when I work with self-published or smaller publishers, I also do all the title design.
Right.
Much easier to do that digitally
Mm-hmm.
as you're working because I can move stuff around. The author gives me, the title of a book. I will, work on, picking up the font and working on the graphic design of, the title block.
Yeah.
So it takes that much space, or a bigger or smaller, and I can move my image around or move this around. I cannot do that with classic, with
No. But
traditional medium.
does it look better? Like, is there? Yeah. I mean, just that. Does it look better if you do it on traditional and then you scan it in?
Um, the way I work, uh, my work has many many layers of textures and adjustments, and a lot of people have asked me, what mediums are you using? And the fact that they're asking that mean that what I do doesn't scream digital right away. There's that ambiguity that uh, is kind of my trademark with my illustration.
Mm-hmm.
It did about all those textures and layers and so
Yeah. As you talk,
yes,
I'm putting the
it's like
revival
you,
tint image on the screen again, and that doesn't look digital. I mean, just the clouds alone. That looks like it was on a canvas. You're telling me that wasn't on a canvas?
digital,
Oh.
digital.
Maybe that one little
Uh,
lens flare right there on the cross. Maybe that could get that. Even then, that looks kind of good too. I
but
mean,
then
kind of
again,
good. It looks
could have
really good.
airbrushed it. Going traditional, I could have airbrushed that.
Yeah.
Although, when I paint, when I'm doing images just for myself, like a portrait for family members, something like that, then I will go back to canvas, acrylic, and brushes because
Mhm.
there is certain uh, uh, pleasure that one takes uh, creating something by hand. Um, but I don't have time constraint or scanning problems or anything like that. If I'm doing a portrait for a friend or family, something like that.
Yeah.
Um, but for publications, to me, and again, it's a very personal choice. I prefer working digitally.
I'm once again looking at the image here, the tent revival. Even the grass and the ground looks really detailed. Like it looks real. And it looks like, like when you paint on. I'm not an artist, like I don't paint or do any of that stuff. But like I know that sometimes the canvas can add a texture to it. It looks like it doesn't have like that nice, smooth, clean, fake look that digital art would normally have. It has like a very nice, detailed, enriched, enhanced. Like you could feel it, you could see it. Like
Well, thank you.
That looks real to me. And even look at the vehicles too. You got like little details, like little shine, and it looks consistent, like with the direction of the light that's coming down from the upper left, going down.
The light will make or break a painting.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if the light feels flat or fake, the whole painting will feel flat or fake. That's for sure.
Man, that is amazing work, Francois.
Thank
That is
you.
amazing work. Okay, now hold on. I got distracted by the work itself. I was busy looking at that. Okay, hold on. All right. Now, were you ever fascinated by horror because of like, were you introduced to horror movies, introduced to horror books on an early age? Like, were you scared of the dark?
I love my horror books, but I'm not a big fan of horror movies. And it's probably because when I read a book, I can create images in my head of what is going on, and I have a pretty vivid imagination. When I look at a movie, somebody else is forcing those images to me.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I guess it's like a great chef preparing a meal or being served a meal. When I
Okay.
prepare a meal, I can make it exactly like I want, with the spices I want, the ingredients I want, until to me it feels perfect.
Gotcha.
When
So
you prepare a meal for me, it might be great, but it's not exactly the herbs I would have put in it.
yeah, and it sucks when your wife does it, and you have to go back to the fridge and get something a little extra, or go back get a little bit of spice. It's like, it's good, honey, it's good, but it just it needs a little bit of this. Okay, I'm just enhancing it. That's all I'm doing.
So, yeah.
All right. So one question I was asked by James McKenzie is, after working with Stephen King, which author would you most like to work with next?
It's not so much authors as books that I would like to illustrate. I would love to, and it's funny because it's not horror at all. I would love to work on Dune.
Dune.
I would love to do illustrations based on that book. I would love to do something based on any book by Tolkien. And again, it's not horror, but it is something that those are books that influenced me as a kid. And again, it's the fan being able later on in his life to create something for an author or a book that had impact on him. Horror wise, I'd like to work on something by James Herbert.
Okay.
I'm rereading The Shrine right now. Great story. Again, the atmosphere in that book is fantastic. It's a great. I'm not going to give away any details, but it's a great story, and it's very moody, and it's not blood and gore. So that really suits my taste, story wise and illustration wise.
Okay.
But it's not about the author. It's about the stories. That's what will do it for me.
Okay,
Uh,
that's good.
like some authors, I don't care for a lot of their work, but there's that one book that they wrote that really blew me away, and I would love to work on that. So
And speaking of authors and books, which one, since you're more of a horror book guy and not a horror movie guy, what is your favorite horror book?
Salem's Lot.
Okay, yes,
That was easy.
That's good. That's a classic. That's a classic
That's
there.
and it's funny because I had a discussion with somebody about that book.
You would like to
and-
redo the cover? Would you like to redo the cover for the book?
Fuck yeah. Yes, but Salem is one of those books where there's been a lot of limited and prestigious editions. So I would love to do it, but I don't think the opportunity will ever come up for that. What I like about Salem, and that came from a discussion I had with someone. It's easy to to say that Barlow and Straker were the bad guy, but when you look at it, the whole city is the bad guy.
Yeah, it's pretty nasty.
Everybody, there's so much dirt underneath. There's so crass that Barlow and Straker are just the proverbial cherry on the sundae.
Yeah,
but everything is rotten to the core, and everything falls apart. And I love that how the town of Salem's Lot is actually one of the characters of the story.
Yeah, that's true. True. Very much a character. Okay. Yeah, that's a good title. Definitely a good pick. I remember my first King novel to read was Firestarter. First time seeing it, though, when I was like a little kid, I must have been like six or seven. My mom had this big stack of like a brown paper stack of like books that she got when she was over in Saudi Arabia. Long story. But I got a bunch of books. And I just remember just seeing the cover the first time and being freaking scared. All it was a set of eyes and fire. That's all it was. Very minimalist, very basic.
The classic cover of
But that scared me as a kid. I was like, I want to read that book. And I started reading it. I started getting into it. I was like, oh, this is cool. I like it. But yeah. Anyway, well, I mean, do you have a favorite horror movie? I know. I'm curious what you would say.
Horror movie, probably The Exorcist.
The Exorcist? Hey, not a bad pick. Not a bad pick at all.
Yeah. Again, because the mood is fantastic. The acting is perfect. The music, I mean, the Tubular Bell is such a classic. And I mean, I saw the movie for the first time, 30, 40 years ago, and whenever I hear those notes, it brings back all the imagery. And actually, I did enjoy the series, The Exorcist, that is on Netflix.
Oh, I haven't seen that. I haven't seen
season one. Season one has a very nice surprise for you if you watch it.
I know they're going to remake the movie, which is a horrible idea. I think. I'm burned out on remakes. I don't mean this. Even for the Evil Dead, the new Evil Dead 4, part of me is just like, I don't even want to watch it. Anyway.
Then again, you and I have been reading horror and watching horror movies for a while now. And let's be honest, some of the special effects of the time look pretty crappy right now. They were great 3 years ago. Right now, subpar for what you can see right now. So if you take a young kid and you show him those movies, he's so used to a certain level of visual effects that he's not gonna enjoy it, and you might lose at that point somebody that could have been hooked on horror. If you show him something that is for us a remake, but for him a fresh take on a story that he never knew about, and he finds the movie very cool because those new special effects and those actors that are in it, then you might have made them curious enough so that you will read a book, enjoy that book, read another book, a third, etc., etc. So these remakes are not made for you or me. They're made for a brand new audience, and if that can help carry some of them over to the book side of things, then it's a good thing.
See, that's the argument for remakes. That's the argument for it, and I get that. It's like we need more original stuff, and there's a lot of good content to work with. I mean, I'm sure you are very well aware of the vast amount of books, novellas, short stories that have not even been touched yet. I mean, and it's a crime that they haven't been touched yet, and because they're so great, they're so ripe with characters, and I don't know, man, it'd be good to see, but. Instead of getting that, we get, well, what's the safest bet? Oh, okay, let's do another Scream. Oh, let's do another Halloween.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's how studio works,
Okay. Now, how has COVID-19, the coronavirus, how has that affected, with the lockdowns and all that, how's that affected your business?
It did affect it at the beginning because nobody knew what shape or form this was going to take, how long it was going to last, how we were going to be impacted. So it didn't change much for the big publishers that I work with, but for smaller press and self-published author who are very, very aware of their budget, even though your book is ready and you would love to have people read it, the money that you would have to invest in a cover was better kept in your own pocket,
right,
waiting to happen.
And I take it that you are not a discount artist, like you don't have to tell me your rate if you don't want to, but if you do, you can go ahead and say it. But what I'm saying is your quality of work, your level of work, I'm guessing you're not a $150 sort of artist. It's a little bit more.
No, but then again, I had discussions with young authors, and I mean they had a very small budget. And I took chances sometime with very little money because the story was great, and I knew that it would make a nice portfolio piece in the end for me. So I invested my time in them, and I still do sometime. Get hooked on a story, and I'll do it for a very much reduced rate. But so yeah, I say the first 3 months of the COVID-19 thing, everybody was kind of waiting to see what was going to happen.
Yeah.
And then slowly and surely, the wheel started rolling again. And even though we are still in COVID-19, I mean,
we're still here, still in it.
Yeah, but it's. Illustration-wise, it's business as usual. The pace has picked up, and I'm as busy as I was in that period of time a year and a half ago.
And that's good to hear. So it slowed down a little bit, but it picked back up.
Yeah.
That also tells me that people are still buying books.
Exactly.
Because
I
mean, they have nothing else to do, right? I mean, stream stuff, buy books. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, Netflix is producing original content like crazy. So is Amazon. Disney's buying all possible channels that they can. I mean, you're stuck at home. What you gonna do?
Right.
Listen to music, watch TV, read books.
That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember when the lockdowns first hit, it was like everyone was. I know a lot of people, a lot of publishers were discounting their books because they didn't know, because people were losing their jobs. You know, people were. It was hard, man. A lot of 99-cent specials, a lot of sales. I think some of my ebooks are still at 99 cents. They're ebooks. I mean, that's fine.
And I was very, very aware of the situation when this happened, and I even had a deal for I think the first 2 or 3 months that I advertised on the Horror Writer Association, and I said, you know what, we're all in this together. It's a pay what you can.
Yeah. Okay.
You have $100, great. You have $50, fuck, I'll do it, because you need to put bread on the table. You need to feed your family, and that's my way of helping. So it was a pay what you can, and I had fun doing it because not only did I get to create some pretty cool images, I felt good doing it because I knew I was helping somebody, that needed to get that book out to pay for mortgage, pay for car, pay for gas, pay for food, pay for college.
Okay. Now, one of my last questions for you here, because we're kind of at time here, but because you mentioned King, also you mentioned you worked with Joe Hill, I gotta ask, who do you think is better? You think Joe Hill has surpassed his dad?
Totally different style.
Look at that.
No, but
that's true though. That's true.
Has King ever written graphic novels or comic books?
No.
There you go.
That's what I like about Joe Hill. That what's that graphic novel? Dang it, the name is escaping me right now. Netflix.
Lock and Key?
Yeah, Lock and Key.
Yeah.
The graphic novel is so much better than the Netflix little series they did. With all the little changes, I was noticing all the little changes. I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, it's cool to kind of see what they did with it, but I hate to be one of those guys, but the graphic novel's better. Of
course it is.
Yes.
Of course. But see, they each have their strength, and I love how they bounce off each other's book. Sometimes they refer to one another, but they also have their own private garden, with like Joe with the comic book and graphic novels and things like that. And I had the pleasure of having dinner with Joe and his wife and a couple of his friends 2 years ago, and he's such a sweet guy, so down to earth, so nice to chat with, very generous with his time, with his advice. And again, it's that thing where you're a fan first, and then you get to work and meet with those people, and you have to keep a straight face and look very professional.
You don't want to fanboy. Yeah. You don't want to be a fangirl. Oh my god.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, you keep it all inside, and you go back to your room at night, and you go, oh my god. There is something really fun about my job, meeting with those people, and every time I get a book in manuscript form that I have to do the cover, I'm reading it and I'm going, my God, I'm reading a story that maybe 4, 5, 6, 10 people have read. So you kind of feel that you're, part of a very exclusive members only club. You get to read those stories before anyone else. You feel the magic and the excitement before everyone else. Right. And then you shut up about it.
That's right. You got to be quiet. You're not allowed to talk about it.
Yeah, you can't steal anyone's thunder.
No.
Talking about a book that's gonna be published by a publisher before he does is probably the surest way to make sure that you will never work with that person again.
Right. And did they make you sign non-disclosure agreements too, or is it just kind of like an unspoken?
It happened to me twice.
All right.
But then again,
but even without that, there's sort of a certain code, or there's a certain ethics. That if you talk about it, it's not going to look good, and they're not going to work with you. And, you respect that.
It's not just that person that's not going to work with you. it's a small the horror world is a small community.
Yeah. Oh
You
yeah,
have
really small.
you have a reputation if you start, doing shitty stuff or not being professional.
Hmm.
Those guys talk to each other.
Dang it! They caught on to me. They caught onto my meth dealing look. Damn it!
There you go. There you go. So, I mean, the repercussion of not being a professional by, talking about a book
Hmm.
or showing illustrations around before they're announced,
Hmm.
the repercussions are not, worth the fun that you had doing it. So,
Okay, yeah. Hey, you know what? That's good advice for any artists that work with different publishers.
I mean, it's good advice for any job. I mean,
Hmm.
if you work for a bank, you're not going to talk to about the upcoming interest rates of a certain offer to someone else in the banking industry. That will come back to you and bite you in the ass so fast. You're a professional. You do your thing with that person, and that's it.
All right, that's true. That's true. All right, Francois Vaillancourt. Did I say that right? I'm
You
horrible with names.
managed to say it twice perfectly, so I'm good.
Okay, that's good. All right, we made it. We made it here, guys. We made it this far. Press the like button, share, and subscribe. I think Friday. Yeah, Friday. Definitely have a show planned, but with work, that might change things. We will see. We'll find out what happens. Anyway, y'all take it easy. You have a good one.
And it was fun being here tonight.
It was good. It was good.